Hey there, this is Steve Quillian from Wood Window Makeover, General of the Artisan Army. I'm with you in my wood window museum that we've put together here at Wood Window Makeover. And one of the things I want to talk to you about is what we love the most. And it's probably what you love a lot too, is this archetypal window. The archetypal window is the product of 1,000 years of ingenuity that came together through 4 trades. That's the glass, that's lumber, that's steel, and that's transportation. And the people took those trades, pulled them all together, and at the turn of the century, they made the most practical, most useful, most universal window that could have ever been dreamed of, and they pumped it out at a massive scale, and it's all across America. It's from here in Florida, it goes all the way to Seattle, it's in New York, it's in San Francisco, it's in Canada, it's in Mexico, it's everywhere. Wow, that's a wonderful piece of heart pine. This is a kind of piece of pine that came out of the virgin pine forests that were all across the nation. The kind of heart pine that was being cut down between 1908 and 1938. There was a sawmill in a place called Bogalusa, Louisiana, that was milling 1 million board feet a day. And it was just a perfect storm. And so, without the lumber industry tipping as it did in that time period, there wouldn't have been, lumber to build the railroads. There wouldn't have been lumber to make the sashes. There wouldn't have been lumber to make flooring, frame walls, any of that kind of stuff. You can't get lumber this good. Look at those rings in there. There's probably 50 to 75 growth rings in that end grain right there that you can see. Compare that with what we have now. I've got a piece of fir that's twice the size, and it's probably got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's got 12 rings in it. So without these trees, really there would be transportation. There would be no reason for the glass industry to expand or the steel industry to expand either. So at the core, at the root, it was the wood that really began the archetypal window. This is a really nice piece of wavy. Can you see that little bubble right there? There was a time when people were really trying hard to make glass without imperfections, but now, when you've got a nice imperfection like that, gosh, that is like so highly prized. You want to accentuate it, because what that really captures is the human spirit, making the glass out of just like sand, and you had people that were, casting this molten lava on the end of a stick, making these huge bottles, and they would cut the ends off these bottles, and they'd slice it down the middle, and that big bottle, that cylinder would open up, and that's what created the waves and the distortions in the glass. What really incentivized the glass industry to scale that up was the transportation, right? Because in 1870 or 1869, the trains had made it all the way from New York City all the way to San Francisco. Before, where glass was hard to ship because of the fragile nature of it being glass, trains made it possible to safely and cheaply ship it across the country. And so now all of a sudden there's a massive need for a massive amount of glass. That plus the trees, it was a perfect storm. The other thing that made it possible for the archetypal window to emerge in history was based off of what I'm holding here. This is a window weight, this is cast iron, but the steel industry also tipped. And that's what enabled the railroads, that's what enabled the tooling, to expand, to make massive improvements in the way that windows were built. Everything could be industrialized. And so the really cool thing about it is that you take those 4 elements. You take the lumber, you take the glass, you take transportation, you take the steel, and you put them all together, and realized that the one thing that made those four elements work was the people. So when we're talking about the archetypal window and all the elements that went into it, the lumber, the glass, the steel, and the transportation, the one thing that ties all of those things together is the people. And it's the artisans who were working with all of their might and all of their heart to pump out the best that they could pump out in that time. And that spirit that built all of these things is encapsulated in the window, and that's what we want to show to you. We want to show you the people that are in the window. So like and subscribe.